Welcome to the real journey of the entrepreneur. The journey of any entrepreneur begins with a decision, then writing down your vision, then the execution of that vision. It is not for the faint of heart. It is for those who understand how powerful your mind is and that you can truly create the life that you deserve. It does require a unique formula that includes belief in yourself, a lot of consistency, connecting with an OG, a lot of tears, missing out on a few events and things, and taking a whole lot of risks that will allow you to see your vision and dream come to pass. This journey of the entrepreneur is from the perspective of a wonderful mother, a business owner, whose goal is to break generational barriers and normalize the process of wealth building and financial wellness through entrepreneurship, all while creating a social and give back along the way. I am sharing this journey with you and invite you to share this process with me. Let's do this together. Your decisions, but you have to feel comfortable to own it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? I will always support you.
Thank you.
So welcome to the real journey of the entrepreneur. We are back. We are back for season 2. My name is Anita Pierce, and I am the host, the producer. I also am the camera woman, the screenwriter, and I'm excited because you are joining this part of the journey, specifically to learn more about every aspect of entrepreneurship. With this discussion that we have on the real journey of the entrepreneur, we are really focusing on those things behind the scenes that happen. I am the owner of 11375, which is a business consultancy that's certified in the state of New York and also New York City as a minority women business enterprise. We are focused on helping other entrepreneurs grow and scale, but we also are looking to have individuals come on who have the courage, specifically on this show, about their journey of entrepreneurship. So, as you know, I get like excited where I see, women of color doing their thing. We are the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs growing. Let me repeat that. The fastest growing group of entrepreneurs that's stepping into this process, because we know that entrepreneurship creates freedom of time. It creates an opportunity for wealth, but it also creates a sense of purpose and self and developing our gifts. And so I get to meet and talk with some of the most courageous entrepreneurs who are willing to step in and to share their process. So now, as you can see, I'm all about the blue lipstick. But what I really wish I had is my next guest in my home doing all this goodness, right? And making it glow. I have Miss Washington, from the red carpet to the runways of Paris and Mulan. Miss Zarielle Washington is a celebrated international makeup artist from New York City. As a therapist and a youth speaker, Ms. Zarielle Washington strives to provide programs, tools, and resources designed to empower, enhance, and then educate us all. But wait till you see all this goodness that's coming up on the screen right now. Welcome, Ms. Washington.
Hello, hello. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much, Anita, for having me on. I just want to plug right quick my name. I know it's exotic, but it's Zarielle. A lot of people call me Z. Mm-hmm. Plot twist.
That is, now see, it's Zarielle. Zarielle?
Zarielle. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Mama.
Excuse me for the mispronunciation. I usually do really well much better. So Zarielle,
Mhm.
can I
Yes.
say it like that? Great.
Yes. Yes.
So thank you for the correction, because I like when we get corrected on names, because that's what we are supposed to do. So Zarielle, welcome to the real journey of the entrepreneur. Can y'all just check out and just love on all of that goodness that's coming through the screen right now? Look at that. Just look at all that. Look at that.
Listen, I live to give a look, okay? Not only is it a part of the job, but it's a part of my personality. So any opportunity to promote myself and also individuality, I am here for.
And we're here for it too, with all that goodness. I just love it. I'm feeling all the. Mm, 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 mm. So now let's get started about who you are, what you do, and just tell us a little bit. Let's help us unpack your start of entrepreneurship.
Of course. So I'd say my start in entrepreneurship happened fairly early. I've always been super creative. I hate to talk about like the pre social media age, but that was actually the age that I grew up with and am most familiar with as an 80s baby. And I remember going to college, or when I was getting ready to go to college, I used to have so much fun with all of my friends doing their makeup, picking out their outfits. And I was like, okay, you know what? This is what I want to do. No, my parents said no. At the time, it was very different from now. Makeup artistry was basically like a cult. You know, there weren't very many books on how to get into it, what to do. The only thing that I knew was to go to cosmetology school, but there weren't any leads after that. So I went ahead, took my full ride, and went to college. The year that I was supposed to graduate, I had a really, really bad accident, and I was diagnosed with having a neck fracture that actually was supposed to leave me paralyzed from the waist down. And at that point in time, it was my senior year. I was going to graduate. And I had to drop out of school. And it left me with a lot of time to think about the type of life that I wanted to live. And I felt like I was given a second opportunity to live life and to do the things that I was put here to do. And as soon as I graduated, a month later, I moved to Atlanta, you know, on the path to be a makeup artist without any guidance. And social media was just coming around. Facebook was here. And so I'm thinking to myself, I'm about to move to Atlanta. I'm going to post ads on Craigslist and, you know, let people know on Facebook, and I'm going to be a makeup artist. And here I am in New York City as a makeup artist. In that time, I learned a lot about what it means to be a makeup artist, but most importantly, what it means to be a businesswoman. And I would definitely say a lot of the positions that I had, I've never really had a 9 to 5 other than working at a bank. But I feel like each of those positions has bestowed upon me the knowledge of how a business operates, from marketing, customer service, just the day-to-day interactions, promotions. So I've taken a lot of that and just kind of incorporated it into my my blueprint as a business owner.
So that is really wonderful. But you want to know something that I find that for those who I have interviewed thus far, there seems to be a connection of us all either have coming from either the banking or financial services industry. I find that to be a common thread. Every person that I've interviewed so far for the real journey of the entrepreneur has roots or connections with financial services. I don't know about the retention rate, but
clearly the retention rate is not there, because we all know if you work in banking, you work in any type of financial institution, or are familiar with financial literacy, you know that it is a endless pot of money out there, and we are trying to get to the dollars and make it make sense. And just for me, a 9 to 5 doesn't really suit my spirit. it doesn't really suit my spirit. So one of the things that I will say about just picking any career that you want to go in is really, it has a lot to do with like self-analysis and knowing what your strengths are, and what you're good at. And I think that's going to be one of the things to kind of help propel you and motivate you, especially when things get hard, because I know you've already let them know that it's hard out here. It's hard out here, not just for a pimp, but for an entrepreneur too.
And we not pimps, but I'm just saying it is very challenging to take risk on your own. And one of the things that we are looking to unpack specifically in this discussion within your industry, because there are a lot of folks who would like to be in the beauty industry but may not know how to start. So let's really think about your particular blueprint that has worked for you. What were your startup costs like when you first got started?
So I say this, of course, I'm going to hit you guys with a number, but before I hit you with the number, I just want to give you some details and also some advice. I'm going to say right here and right now, start with where you are with what you have. If you want to be a makeup artist, chances are you already own a lot of makeup, you know? So, I mean, the first step, of course, would be to develop a kit. That is where the bulk of your expense is going to come in at, but there are ways, to do it where you're getting what you need kind of along the way. And one of the joys about being a makeup artist is, first of all, you have to remember that you are an artist. So if you don't have everything, or you don't have everything that they sell, there are so many ways, to mix and make what you have, to mix the foundations, to get the shade that you need, mixing lighter and darker shades. You don't need all 40 shades, of Fenty, Lancome. You can start with 6 and just kind of mix a few from there. The same thing for lipsticks and blush. Those two are interchangeable. Eyeshadow and highlighter, interchangeable. So yes, you are going to spend a lot of money to get that pristine, quality, clean kit when you start. But to be honest, the way that you're going to start is going to be, first of all, by practicing, not just on yourself, and on other people. And when I say practice, people don't pay you to practice. So, whether it's your friends or somebody, you can start by doing that. I think the most attention to detail gets left off when it comes to the behind the scenes, because of social media. A lot of people think that you don't need a website, or you don't need certain processing sites to help run the transactions for your business, and that's not true. You can build a website yourself on Squarespace or Wix, and it's a very low cost startup value of $200. But before you build a website, you're going to need pictures of your work to put on the website, and that's one of the things that I want to recommend that makeup artists or beauty professionals really take an interest is cultivating quality content to basically promote your work, whether that is paying a photographer. And if you don't have the funds to pay a photographer, because sometimes it can get costly, you can opt to do trade. They call them TFP shoots. You can offer to do TFP shoots. But to be honest with you, I do find that takes a little longer. If you're looking for a certain quality and reliability, it takes a lot longer, to get in the right circle, to work with the right people, to get the right product that you need. So that's one of the things that I would recommend is paying when you are ready, after you have practiced and perfected your skill, paying to get quality photos. That is going to bring you the money that you need to basically start your cash cow. In addition to that, you also want to keep in mind that, of course, yes, you can advertise for free on social media using hashtags, and all of that is great, but it is now a very, very competitive market. Everybody thinks that they can do makeup, or, you know what I'm saying, know somebody who does makeup. So I think that paying to advertise your brand, even if it's just something as small as $50 or paying, you know, for a Yelp ad, is a good idea until you have a solid clientele. And I mean, I prefer Yelp because you can basically build your clientele based off of the reviews and pictures that you post. And people love, you know, before and afters. It doesn't have to be as perfect as you would like to present on your website. So that would be one of my recommendations. And that is actually one of the ways that that's one of the ways that I just kind of transferred to New York, was doing that. One of the things I also would like to add is makeup is such a broad spectrum. It's such a broad spectrum. And I know that we have people that are probably in different markets. New York is very competitive, but with anything, makeup, there are 5 lanes, you know, specifically that you can focus on. I would say pick a lane, find you a lane to focus on and choose that lane. If that lane is going to be fashion, then you need to know what type of work you need to cultivate, what type of images you need to build. If it's going to be bridal, you know, that's going to be something very different from fashion. You know, you have TV. Do you want to be in the union? Don't you want to be in the union? Commercial. So just kind of finding out what it is that you want to do specifically and zoning in on that, I think is definitely going to help propel, you know, forward along with what you need for the startup, which I personally would say for startup about anywhere from $1,000 at least for the makeup kit, and that's kind of on the low end. I'd recommend investing in artist brands and not retail brands. A retail brand would be Fenty, which is, you know, gonna run you $40 a bottle. A artist brand would be something like Ben Nye. They use that for theatrical makeup. It's a lot less expensive. RCMA, and then there are tons of makeup artists that are now growing and spurting their own brands. So they're perfect for supporting because the price is less expensive a lot of the time than retail makeup, and they're an artist. So they know exactly what's missing, what's needed for what job.
And is that including the register? You're just talking about the cost for makeup and website. What about registering with the state that you are doing business in?
Yes, that is very important. And that's actually something that I didn't get into later in my career, even though I've been freelance for about 9 years now. I think it's really important that you take your business serious enough to register it, because that is going to open up opportunities for you to get small loans, grants, whatever it is that you would need to further propel your business. In the state of New York, and I know people are listening from different places, it changes. It varies depending on what state you're in. But you can do a DBA, which is less expensive than an LLC for around $150. But if you're going to pay $150, just go ahead and get the LLC for $250. And of course, this is if you file it yourself. I think that it is kind of relatively simple. It's not extremely time consuming. So I think it's less expensive to do it for $250 yourself than pay somebody $500 to do it for you.
So they already know, as that you mentioned it. So what Zarielle mentioned is the sole proprietorship. That you can go to the county clerk's office, set that all up yourself for estimated about $150. That's the sole proprietorship.
Mm-hmm.
And then what Zarielle mentioned is going into a little bit more deeper, which is being heavily promoted, of creating the LLC, which in the state of New York runs about $250. And what that $250 includes is the actual filing with the state, the name, if you do a name search, and if you want to expedite it. to get your information back to you. And the beauty about it is what I say about that is that, since we're in this space, the pandemic has allowed for some benefits, although it may take little bit longer, is that everything can be done online yourself. You do not have to pay for an EIN number. You can go to the irs.gov. You can get that, within a matter of, depending on the date, the time of day that you actually log on. You can get it within a matter of moments, right? And then you can do all of your filings online. The other side of the LLC, which a lot of small businesses that are startup that miss, is the publication of the LLC. So, you definitely have to think about, when you are starting your business, how you want to be taxed. You can be a sole proprietor and take all the liability yourself, or you can establish a LLC where the business now takes on the liability of your overall business. It's about taxes. So it's really critical, when deciding that if you are going to do the investment, don't miss out on the PPP loans, which a lot of us
Mhm.
did because we did not have the appropriate filings, or we didn't have a business bank account because we were not properly structured, and we were commingling financial resources that should have been kept separate from the beginning. So those are excellent, excellent, excellent startup points. And also, y'all always know I tell y'all can get this stuff for free. So I'm going to provide you all with resources at the end of our discussion
Mhm.
where you can get this stuff for free. You don't have to always hire someone to do the things, that you can take the time, because knowledge is is really where you start to grow and be able to develop and do things and still scale your business and use the resources some other place. So thank you so much for that.
Yes, I want to piggyback also off of what you said, especially since the pandemic. Two things that I would like to recommend, and they're fairly low cost, is number one, being a makeup artist, and given that it's a pandemic, having insurance is a
Mhm.
good option. It's not very costly, given that it's just you. I don't know if you do like any independent contractors, but if it's just a single person operating in a business, it's relatively inexpensive. $30 for, and of course you get your quotes or whatever, but it's generally around $30 a month. My second thing that I'm going to recommend, because once again, if you are working during the pandemic, that is a liability. Somebody could say that they became ill, from you, and it caused it affected their respiratory system, whatever. So making sure that you're covered is essential, when you want to be legit. And secondly, is going to be a legal shield. I'm with Legal Shield, which is basically, it's a membership, a legal membership in which you pay. It's about $20 a month for the personal, about $36 a month for the business. If you have any type of legal action that needs to be handled, whether there's somebody threatening you, whether you need to, move along the due process of being paid, they will handle that as a part of your membership. They'll send out letters, they'll do correspondence on your behalf. I think that's something really important to have. I remember somebody speaking to me about it when I first started out, and I didn't have the financial bandwidth to commit to it. But eventually, as soon as I got a steady flow, those were two things that I included in my operational costs. And they are very important when you are working with a lot of different people.
How did I forget that? That's a great point. Having insurance in addition to when you are ready to really establish your business, and particularly, so I work in a service. I'm a service provider, and so what I have is E&O insurance. It's errors,
Mhm,
and because I'm a notary, and so I have that through
mhm,
Hartford. And then there's other insurance that you have, like for those, there are a number of individuals who are in the event space. You can have insurance based upon per event. event insurance. But you know, and that's again based upon what your budget is as you start to have a little bit more cash flow within your business. Those things in terms of protecting your business is really critical because you don't want to just have a paid hobby. You do actually want to grow and scale your business. So excellent, excellent points. So you're in the middle of a pandemic. I'm curious to figure out as an artist, how did you so you know, we all went through that. And now that we have some sort of idea as to how to work through it safer, how were you able to manage when it first started?
So when it first started, I don't think any of us anticipated going as long as it did. And I felt extremely fortunate and blessed to even have money saved because even with the unemployment didn't kick in until 2 months later. So I felt really blessed, to be able to have a little stash. And after that 2 months, we was just gonna play it by ear. And even when the pandemic initially lifted, things were very, very slow. One of the things that I'm going to say that really, really helped me to make it through the pandemic was having an amazing network. An amazing network of people who I work with for production, makeup artists who refer me to other jobs, and just kind of keeping the ball rolling. That really helped to just kind of compensate for any shortcomings that I might have had in just regular clients that were not getting their makeup done. And also, of course, content creation became really big during that time because we all became consumers 24/7. So I worked with a few brands to create content for them. That was also a viable financial resource for me. But I really took the pandemic as an opportunity to just kind of reevaluate where my brand was and what direction I wanted to go in it with. And I took that also as an additional time to invest in my craft because usually, like I said, practicing is not a paid opportunity, so I don't practice on paid clients, and then if I'm working literally every day, that minimizes the window of opportunity that I have for practicing. So now with all of this time on my hand, I was able to really practice looks that people were not into because I do fashion and commercial, but I also do bridal, and they're two very separate lanes. So it gave me an opportunity to be more creative, with the fashion element and just really dive into it and learn more about influential makeup artists, photographers, people that I would be interested in working with and kind of building that rapport while we were just all just in the same climate, basically.
So you mentioned a couple of things that I really want to touch base on. The one that um, we're in a pandemic, however, you were able to be a reasonably good steward with your finances so that in times of challenge that you were able to at least survive. That's a crutch for me. The other thing is, practicing your craft, like utilizing this time to really develop things so that, when things, like now are starting to open back up, that you're able to now develop and really go in and say that you're because you've been practicing this craft that you can now go into this space, which is really good.
Yes. Okay. So you already know what it's like to be an entrepreneur, especially needing at least 5 years in the game to even say that you're experienced. So with me just having been a makeup artist in New York City for 9 years, I already know the pattern. I already know when it gets slow, how it goes, what to expect. So there is money that I always keep for those 2 months. It's slow after Christmas for everybody that I know, that it's going to be slow. And so it just so happened after Christmas this year, it wasn't slow. So I still, had that money saved up. But I typically know just kind of what the busiest months are, believe it or not, for makeup, and what are the slower months. So I just kind of keep that in mind and keep it in my pocket. Plus, one of the perks of working fashion and commercial is when you do fashion shoots or you do photo shoots or production, any type of production, they have to feed you. So that's already, minimizing what I'm spending. I'm not eating out for lunch. They have snacks, they have coffee, they have breakfast. If we're shooting over 8 hours, they're going to have dinner. So that also comes into play to just like help minimizing those expenses, as well as building in the expense of traveling to the location with my kid. So though, I include that in the rate that I give. So that's not additional money that I'm spending for transportation. It's already been factored into the rate and already been considered.
See, that's smart business right there. So you're not just charging $50 an hour.
No, I mean, literally and even as a makeup artist now, I'm still, learning what the questions are to ask before you just give out a price. I mean, and all makeup is not created equally. No two jobs are the same. So I need to know who I'm doing, where I'm doing it at, for how long, and where it's going to be placed. Is it going to be in a billboard, in Times Square, or is it going to be just in a little, neighborhood catalog? Because when you think about it that way, that billboard in Times Square is going to cost way more than that ad in a local small magazine, so the more that they pay for more eyes to be on it, the more intense and the more important it is as your job as the makeup artist, and usually the more persistent they are about what exactly it is that they want down to the T.
Wow. I'm learning so much about your industry.
And I was surprised, to bring up your point about the practicing. When I tell you, I was so surprised because yes, I was just having a good time creating fun, abstract, bold makeup looks, not necessarily catering to any particular person, because I say as a makeup artist, our number one goal and job is to do, what that person asks, whether that's the client, a bride, a sweet 16, or, whether it's for a campaign. Like every time there's always a look that somebody has in mind. So I took my opportunity for practicing to be, that I could use any shade of purple, gold, blue, pink, and do it any type of way. And I was surprised that I actually got a lot of opportunity from just doing my practice rounds and just kind of posting them. I was like, okay, it's a really good feeling when in a time and age when people have access to so many pictures, so much content, and you say, what look were you going for? What is it that you like? And they show you your work and they say, I want that, So that has been one of the best feelings in my career, when somebody can show me my work and say, I like what you did right here. I want this, or I want you to do something like this on me.
Wow, that is a true testament of your craft. That is really amazing. So I wanted to highlight another point that you made about business collaborations, right? So you mentioned your network that you tapped in as a way to continue to keep you top of mind for individuals to help to hire you or to have you a part of a production. Would you elaborate on how important network relationships are?
Yes, I'm pretty sure every entrepreneur that comes on this show mentions your network. And I want to put extra emphasis on your network. because that person over there, that might be an angel, might do angel funding, might do crowdfunding. Just because that person has access to that element does not mean that they are for your network. And that's one of the things that I really learned about when trying to create and align myself with a network. You want to make sure that the people in your network, not only do you, of course, enjoy their company, their personality, but in order for it to work, because a network goes both ways. Currency flows both ways. You have to be on the receiving and the giving end. And that person has to want to, give you something and also be open to receiving something for you. And if there's no click, then it's just basically like making friends. You can pass out a lot of cards, you can run down a lot of people. And I have done that, for my career or during the span of my career. And I would try so hard sometimes with some people and nothing would happen. And maybe I might meet another makeup artist and they're best friends, with this person. So being in alignment with people who are in alignment with your goals, your vision, have, the same outlook, working toward the same outcome, I think is best when trying to create a network. And just really, people sticking with people who resonate with you, because those are going to be the networks that are really valuable. And those are going to be the ones, that make it through tough times, because at the end of the day, they still have to like you, as a person and not just what you do.
Yeah, that social capital is important. I can't emphasize enough about not always being the taker from a relationship. So
Mhm.
you hit it